Guys, we are back. My apologies for the last one. We fixed it. We got Sammy back on the show. We're going to be talking here about Jiri versus Alex Pereira. I'm going to answer some of these questions that people have put up here, and then we're going to go back into making a pick for who we think is going to win. Just for the record, which we did the Aspinall, but we weren't able to do the statistical breakdown on the Aspinall and Pavlovic fight. I do think Aspinall is going to be a little bit too quick, a little bit too crisp with his boxing, and that's going to set up either he's going to catch Pavlovic or that's going to set up the ability to get the takedowns on Pavlovic. Pavlovic is going to be extremely dangerous early on, but I do think Aspinall is going to get the job done. That's if I had to pick. Pavlovic's a very dangerous character, though. All right, so Nathan Gorman says, how does Jiri stop or counter Pereira's step back check hook? The thing is that Alex can throw that left hook coming forward too, so it's not just that he steps back and does it. So, and it's not like the thing with Alex is not that he's just got that check, that left hook. You know, the left hook is what puts people to sleep, but he's got very dangerous kicks, very dangerous knees. There's no tell in what he does with some of those kicks and some of those knees. The way that he can throw those right hands to the body and to the head is also extremely dangerous. He rips the body as well with that left hand. So I don't necessarily think that that's the only thing that Jiri has to try and stop, because the thing that he has to try and stop are the things that set up the left hook, if that makes sense, which is not going to be easy to do. It's not going to be easy to do. Max Jamil says, is a Jiri style of fighting similar to Prime Tony in terms of unorthodoxy? No, I think they're different kind of guys. They're very different. Like Tony's actually, in my opinion, more effective as a grappler, and he has more vocabulary of grappling and strike and submissions and whatnot than Jiri does. But Jiri, in my opinion, has bigger power, better chin, probably better chin. I don't know if better chin, because Tony got hit a lot and he didn't need to get hit as much as he did. He had a great chin. He did have a great chin, but he got hit a lot. Jiri hits like a truck as well. You know, it's a bit different. And the thing with Tony is Tony had an actual formal grappling background. Like he was a legit jiu-jitsu black belt. He grew up wrestling. He was a great athlete. Whereas Jiri has a legit striking background. You know, he was a Czech amateur Muay Thai champion. So they're different in that regard. Madara Uchiha says, what do you think Jiri learned from Pereira when he fought Blachowicz? It kind of goes to what Light Yagami asks later, and they're asking about the grappling. The problem is people think, one, that Alex is going to be easy to take down. He's not. Two is, and Sammy and I were just talking about this off screen. Maybe, Sammy, can you bring that up? The thing with the grappling in that round with Jiri and not Jiri, with Alex and Jan Blachowicz. The thing that people don't realize, just let me know when you have it up, Sammy. The thing that people don't realize with Alex is, and I'll go to Light Yagami's one. He goes to me, if you're Jiri, do you engage in grappling? Considering he choked out a black belt in Glover, surely Alex is easy pickings on the ground. Man, not being rude, Light Yagami, and I appreciate your questions. And if you haven't already, guys, please like and subscribe. But dude, you have to watch that fight, because Glover was all over him on the ground. That choke wasn't like he out jiu-jitsu'd Glover on the ground to win that. He bashed Glover on the feet for every time they're on the feet, and then Glover bashed him a little bit too. But by the end of it, Glover was exhausted and beaten up, and that's how Jiri got the choke, not by some amazing transition on the ground that, you know, he did this and that and the other. Glover was beaten up by the end of it. They were both beaten up. They were both beaten up pretty bad, but Glover had got beaten up in that fight. But that isn't to say that Glover didn't do damage himself. He did. He absolutely did. It wasn't a one-sided beatdown, but you cannot ignore the fact that Glover ate some big shots in that fight, like some really big shots. So going back to what he learned from Blachowicz, I think that there's a narrative that you got to take Alex down, and that's easy. It's going to be easy pickings and da. In the UFC, no one's done it. Not even close to doing it. You got to understand, this guy's long, rangy guy that hits like a truck, and when he gets taken down, he tries to get back up. And so you are in a position where you have to hold him. That takes energy from you, and it doesn't let you do other things. You're actually just holding Pereira down. You're not trying to, like, a lot of the times you're not landing big shots. You're not really improving the position, or like you might have got to his back, like Blachowicz did, but you have to hold on to that position. So credit to Blachowicz for getting the position, but in terms of, it's a little bit like Islam and Volkanovski. You get to that position, but then you have to hold him there. You couldn't risk losing that position. So it's not like you just have your way with Alex on the ground either. It doesn't look pretty what he's doing, and you're definitely winning the round, but you can't let him do too much or he's going to get back up. So let's go and have a look at that Blachowicz versus the Blachowicz versus Pereira fight and the grappling exchanges in particular. And Sammy, let me know what you think. What do the stats say?
Yes, for the entire fight, there was, in terms of grappling, there's 3 takedowns scored for Jan Blachowicz. There was also control seconds of 452. So that's also clinch and ground control as well. So that's, 7.5 minutes of control time for the entire fight. And those takedowns were spread out throughout the entire fight too. So he took him down once in each round. But in terms of what he did on the ground, there's not a lot. Like, in that first round, he took him down once. He landed, 5 ground strikes. In the second round, he took him down again, only landed 2 ground strikes. Pereira landed 1 ground strike. And then in that third round, there was only 45 seconds of ground control there as well. He took him down once and only landed 1 ground strike. So, as you said, he was able to take him down, but he didn't seem to do a lot of damage while he was on the ground.
And there is no denying that Blachowicz won the round. Like, we're not debating that he won the first round, but it's a question of when people are talking about what did he actually do with it. And if you grapple and you understand, like, it's hard if you take someone down that has better striking than you, and they're not trying to grapple with you. They're trying to get up so they can crack you. It's hard. You're not just rolling and grappling with them. You're trying to hold the person down, and that requires a lot of energy and a lot of strength. And if you give any space, this guy's going to try and get up. So it's a difficult thing. It's not. I think that's something the jury would have learned, that it's not as simple as just taking Pereira down and you're going to automatically win the fight. Having said that, I do feel that both of these guys, it would serve their purpose well if they can start throwing in a takedown. And we saw that Pereira will do that. He tried that with Israel. He succeeded in doing it with Israel. He botched one up, but he will change levels and shoot. So if he can do that to Jiri, I think that will be really, really good. It's going to add a new wrinkle to Pereira's game. And if Jiri can do that to him, it's going to add a wrinkle to the game. So either of these guys, it would serve them well, I think, to change levels on their opponent and just give a new wrinkle. Jordan Martinez says, I personally feel that Alex's punching power might not translate up a weight class, considering none of his strikes really hurt Blachowicz's thoughts. Blachowicz is not the kind of guy that just gets finished left and right by people. Like, I mean, he's fought Israel, he's fought a lot of like heavy hitters in that division, and he's not known for just getting dropped to left, right, and center and knocked out. Having said that, Alex Pereira is Alex Pereira is the light heavyweight champion of Glory kickboxing champions at light heavyweight, so he's definitely got the punching power to sleep people in that division for sure. One fight, the first fight going back to that division against the guy that did try and grapple him and that did hold him down a lot, is not enough of a body of work to be able to go, this guy's punching power doesn't translate well at light heavyweight. Having said that, I think that what people forget is this guy wasn't a middleweight coming into the UFC. He was Glory middleweight kickboxing champion. Then he was Glory light heavyweight kickboxing champion. Then he had to make a massive cut for such a big guy to fight at middleweight, and he had to do that for years, for a couple of years, until he won the belt and then lost it against Israel. And I do believe the light heavyweight division is better for him. He's definitely a natural light heavyweight at this point in his life and at this point in his career. And so I think that when he does fight at light heavyweight and he gets now this, he's going to be even better. Like, I do think his body's going to have recovered from those massive cuts. He's had time to really grow into that frame. The fact that Israel lost and he's not the champion, I think serves better long-term for him, in that he's not going to go back down for another fight with Israel or anything like that. So I think that he's going to stay in this division, and he'll be bigger and stronger and more used to that weight again. So I think that it's just where you catch people as well. It's just where you catch people. You can catch someone on the point of the chin with not a very big shot and you put him to sleep, or you catch someone pretty hard and you hit them like just here beside the orbital and they take it, and you hit them really hard. Are there any points you'd like to talk about, Sammy, before we continue with asking and the questions and that?
Just to compare the two, really, like in terms of significant strikes landed on average per round, they're quite similar. Pereira's landing at 24 per round. Prochazka's landing at 26 per round, but it's really in where the strikes are, like what the target is. So Pereira's landing 11 strikes to the head per round, whereas Yuri's landing 21 per round. So Yuri's landing a lot more to the head, but Pereira's really he's outstriking in terms of body strikes and leg strikes as well. So he's got that kind of full kickboxing package as well.
I think that, again, that's another narrative that happens with Pereira, where people, like I said a little bit earlier in this, people talk about his left hook and how do you stop the left hook and da-da-da-da-da-da, but it's not the left hook in and of itself. It's what he does to set up that left hook. He finishes a lot of his fights with a left hook, but by the time he's hitting you with that left hook flush, it's because he set you up. The way he fought Strickland was that he walked Strickland. He could have probably walked Strickland back if he had wanted to. Pereira's very smart, man. He's a very, very smart guy. He's got a big database of fights to be able to download information from, and he walked Strickland onto it. The way he did it as well, with throwing the body shots with his right hand, the leg kicks, getting the attention off it, and making the parry come, and then throwing that left hook. He could have probably walked him down and stalked him if he had wanted to, but that wasn't the way that he had picked to fight that fight. So whilst he has the reputation, I suppose, of a headhunter, and the narrative is that he sits behind that left hook and he's a headhunter, a lot of his work comes from the leg kicks that he has very little tell on, and the body shots. In that first Israel fight, one of the things that impressed me so much was actually the first Israel fight was Israel's durability, because Israel ate. Can we bring that up, Sammy? Just how many shots Israel ate to the body in that fight?
Yep.
So I was really honestly impressed with Israel in the first fight. Like, people don't understand. Like, Alex was landing a lot of body shots. Israel would shoot, have a double unders or over under, and Alex would dig big shots, knees and rips to the body of Israel for basically 4 or 5 rounds, and Israel took him. Super tough, man, super durable. Israel has been finished twice in like 100 combat fights, both times by Alex. So it really, really, really impressed me how tough and durable Israel was, but it also showed me, no, this guy's like hitting the body. He's hitting different parts of the body. Are we ready, Sammy, with that one?
Yeah.
Hit me, Sammy. Hit us.
So this is the first fight with Israel versus Alex. So we've got the entire fight in there too. So overall, Pereira actually outstruck Adesanya. Obviously, it's not just round by this is just the overall part. 91 strikes to 86 significant strikes. 42 of those were head strikes for Pereira, 41 for Adesanya. But Pereira did outstrike in terms of body strikes, 27-21. Each scored a takedown. And in terms of like control seconds, and that's in terms of the clinch and ground control as well, Adesanya had a total of 394 seconds for the entire fight. Round by round, though.
How many body shots did Adesanya take?
Adesanya took 27 body shots.
How many did Alex take in the fight? Just to
21.
give perspective. And he took
21.
But the shots
landed 6 more body shots.
Yeah, but the shots that he landed, if you watch it, like they were digging into Adesanya, like really digging in. Some of the shots Adesanya was landing were jabs to the body. Some of the shots Alex landed were jabs to the body. But if you watch that fight, some of the knees and rips that he landed to Adesanya were really, really telling. And I was, like I said, I was impressed with Alex, of course, but I was super impressed with Adesanya's ability and durability. That was really, really impressive. So Pep Guard says, what advice would you give Jiri in the stand-up if you're his coach against Pereira? Continue the unorthodox striking style to throw off Pereira. I wouldn't give any advice to those guys. They've got good coaches. They know what they're doing. I'm not going to give any advice. I don't think you can ask Jiri to fight a different style. You know, you might have a different tactic or whatnot, but the unorthodox striking is, you got to dance with the girl you went with, you know. He's got like a proper background in Muay Thai. He was like the Czech Muay Thai amateur Muay Thai champion. Obviously, it's not the glory title, but he does have that background, you know. And it's not like whilst he's had 3 fights in the UFC, he's had like a lot of fights outside of the UFC. One of the things that I like about it, so he's had 33 mixed martial arts fights in total, 29 wins, 25 by knockout, 3 by submission, 1 by decision, 3 losses, 2 by knockout, 1 by submission. Now, when you look at the guys that he's lost to, he lost to Mo Lowell, but this is in 2015. That was the last loss actually that he's had, so like 8 years ago. And he's also got a wins over Mo Lowell. He's got a few other losses. We're not going to talk about it too much, but Mo Lowell was like if you don't know who he was like a big time wrestler. He was like a big time wrestler with big punching power. And at the time, he was a really big deal. He's got wins over Musasi. He's very, very, very good fighter. But he's also got wins over him. So I like the fact that he's got that kind of background and he's got that kind of experience. That can be a problem for Alex, just that Jerry's been in there a lot. But Alex has got a lot of fight experience too. You know, he's got a lot of big fight experience in kickboxing, and then he's also now had enough fights and enough big fight experience in MMA. So that in and of itself is going to be interesting. So I can't say to you, oh, you know what I mean? Like, this is the advice you'd give him, fight like this or fight like that. Jiri is, whilst he's relatively new to UFC fans, he's been around the block a long time. He's a very, very competent and accomplished striker in his own right. Do I think he's at the point of Alex? I don't necessarily think so. Alex has very little toe, and Jiri is heavy on that lead leg. And I see that Alex will probably start to pick away at that leg and start to take away a lot of that movement, which will start to take away a lot of the unorthodox striking, and that will start to leave your fundamentals there. And then we're going to see what that looks like for Jiri if Alex is able to do that. Any points you want to comment on, Semi?
Just in terms of accuracy as well, in comparison with the two of them. So Pereira, obviously, he has higher accuracy, significant strike accuracy of around 62%, which is in comparison to Yuri's, I think it's about 55%. So, a lot higher in terms of significant strikes. Yuri does have higher accuracy in terms of body and leg strikes, but he really doesn't throw them as many. So he's just not throwing the same volume in the same way that Alex is. like body strikes, Alex is landing about 9 per round, whereas Yuri's landing about 3 per round. Leg strikes, Alex is landing 5 per round, whereas Yuri's only landing 0.3 on average per round. So, and then in terms of accuracy as well in the body strikes, Alex is landing around 83%, and Yuri is landing at a higher rate, but he's just not throwing at the same volume.
If I at this point, just I don't want to give a thing, but me personally, I think like just the volume. So Pereira's throwing at higher volume.
Yes.
That's fair, and they both hit hard.
Higher volume to the body and legs.
Yeah, and Jerry's headhunting more than anything. It would be fair. Jerry throws from really unorthodox angles, and his hands are low, but he's also there to be countered. How many head strikes does Jerry absorb? They're both there to get hit a little bit, and I'm curious who gets hit the most out of the two of them to the head. If you'd be able to tell us, Semi, on average.
Yeah, so I've just got it round by round. And
wait, I'll just answer some of the questions. I'll answer a couple of these questions if you want to look that up just while I answer a couple of these. Ali Shukri says, I believe we have much more evidence for Pereira being a devastating puncher at 205 than the opposite. He has some sick light heavyweight KOs. Man, if I remember correctly, he's knocked out at light heavyweight Bayrak, the Turkish fellow, and Jason Wilness. I'm pretty sure they were both. The last fight he had against Jason Wilness, I'm pretty sure was at light heavyweight, and he knocked him out. And Bayrak, the Turkish fellow, he knocked him out, and that was definitely a light heavyweight. And then he lost the decision against Vakitov, who's Artem Vakitov is like for those that don't know, he's not a kickboxer, he's the kickboxer. And Artem Vakitov has also lost to Pereira by a split decision. That was for the light heavyweight title from memory. So he's got some big wins. And Jason Wilness also has a win over Israel Adesanya. So we're not talking about chumps that Alex has knocked out at light heavyweight. So, it definitely translates well to his power translate really well to light heavyweight. It just question's going to be, can he catch him? Can he hurt them? Another one is Pep Guard says, how much of Jerry's striking is compromised because of his injury? I don't know. I don't know what he's going to actually look like. It's not so much. Let's say this, right? Let's say that he's completely recovered from his injury, completely recovered. If he's completely recovered from the injury, it's going to come down to what does it look like? The fact that his last fight was against Teixeira in 2022, June 12th of 2022, and Pereira's was, so it's not a year, but it's more than a year. Yes. And Pereira's was July 29, 2023. So this jury's been out for more than a year, and Pereira's fought and won, and he was knocked out by Israel really bad, which was one of the areas of concern for me versus Blachowicz. And you got to understand, even when you're talking about that fight, he got knocked out by Israel in April, and then he fought in July. And how bad he got knocked out by Israel, it was like slept. He got knocked out really, really bad. And that was in April. I would not have advised for him to have fought again in July. I think that would probably have a big impact on that performance against Jan as well. I do think that, and plus going back up to light heavyweight and the rest of it. So I think those things are definitely in Alex's favor. That's more the problem than if Jerry is fully recovered from his injury. I believe, let's say that he's fully recovered from his injury, but being out of the fight game for that long, it matters, man. He's got a lot of experience, which helps, and he's young. He's 31 years old. Jerry, you think of Jerry as being older, but he's young. He's 31. He's got big fight experience. The year and a half, he doesn't look like he goes out drinking and just gets fat and doesn't train. Like, he lives that Bushido lifestyle. So all of these things help, but you're still a year and a half out of the bright lights of this affects, this does affect. And Pereira, not only did he get back on the horse, win the decision against Jan, but now he's also had plenty of time to recover from that massive KO. So this is going to be a harder, I think it's that these things are going to go against Jiri more so than has he fully recovered, because let's assume that he has. Sammy, hello, Sam. I don't know. Sammy's taken off on us.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Hit us, Sammy.
Easy. So just in terms of defense for Yuri and Alex in comparison, so Yuri, defends at a rate of around 48 to 50% on average per round in terms of head strike defense, whereas Pereira defends at a much higher rate of about 70, between 57 to 70% in terms of head strikes. He's also, and that's just in terms of percentage, so it depends on how many his opponent's actually throwing at him, but he's also defending a lot more as well. So he's defending 15, 18, 17 per round, whereas Yuri's defending in that first round, he's defending 24, but in the second and third rounds and stuff, he's defending 12, 10. But you've also got to factor in that there's only been 3 fights in the UFC that we're using these stats for Yuri, whereas we have 6 for Pereira as well. So Pereira does have better defense for head strikes.
Okay, so that I think is going to be a very telling thing as well in this fight, because you can't, neither one of these guys it's fun to get hit by, but Pereira, Jiri definitely has a shot that can stop you, but Alex, man, really does. If there's one guy that has let's change the fight power, it's Alex. Alex can hit you and you want to go play golf, even if he hasn't knocked you out. He hits you and you're like, I wish I was on a golf course somewhere playing ping pong or, bopping for apples, anything that's non-contact. That's what he makes you want to do. Those shots, man, the way that he lands the shots and hurts people is very, very bad. So if Jiri cannot play the game of throwing something, making Alex miss or taking it and hitting back, he can't do that, not with Alex. That's going to be a big problem. Ofon says, assuming it's true that he got injured, I'm wondering if it was a cover for a USADA violation. Yeah, that's just a speculation though, dude. Like Michael Cavitya says, Jiri seems to have a really high pace. Reyes seemed to have hard times keeping up with the pace despite seeming to be the cleaner fighter. Will Pereira struggle with the pace? He could struggle with the pace, but and I think that Jiri could catch Alex. He could catch something. He could catch Alex. I don't think he's going to outfight Alex. He could catch Alex with a shot and beat him. I do think that that's absolutely a possibility, even a probability to some extent. But I don't think he's going to outfight Alex in a proper fight. I don't think so. I think Alex has got more weapons on him. I also think that the use of the leg kicks by Alex, it's really phenomenal how he does it and who he's done it to. It does not look like much when he throws those leg kicks, when he threw them against Israel. If you watch his light heavyweight fights, and he's doing it to guys like, he's doing it to guys like Vakitov. He's doing it to Simon Marcus. He's doing it to Belgarui. He bashed Belgarui a bunch of times. He's got wins over. He's doing it to everyone. Jason Wilness. He's doing it to these guys that have legit defense for it. You know what I mean? They know it's coming, and there's not much else you can do in kickboxing other than hit the head and leg kicks, right? So this guy's doing this to them, and then he comes into the UFC and he's doing it to the UFC guys. So it's that's going to be a problem, man. And Jiri's very heavy on that lead leg, and to fight in that unorthodox style, it requires movement. It requires movement, and that's the part that Reyes couldn't do, like the way that Pereira can. It doesn't mean Pereira can't be caught, but it's not the same kind of thing. I think Pereira can make you pay. He can slow you down, and he can really start to make you think about what you're trying to do here. You know what I mean? So then it says, Ofon says, I found it interesting how many times it was tested in 2022. Izzy has a damn chin on him. And then Kenny says, Jiri has beaten Bellator's champ too, Nemkov. And Nemkov is a good fighter, dude. Nemkov's a very good fighter. Kenny says they both fight with hands down. Jiri is very wild. Alex is the opposite, walks him down and snipes almost like a yin and yang. Yeah, Alex is a different fighter to Jiri. I think, my opinion, I think Jiri can win, but I have to think that I favor Alex significantly simply because he's fought more guys striking wise that are similar to Jiri than Jiri has guys like Alex, and Alex has proven he's pretty much one of the best kickboxers to ever do it. He hasn't fought that many guys that can apply it back to MMA. Sammy, are there any points that you'd like to make?
Probably just reiterating those differences between where they each target. So on the left-hand side, you've got Pereira, and on the right-hand side, you've got Jiri. So, he's round by round. Jiri is landing more significant strikes. In that first round, for instance, Yuri's landing 28 significant strikes compared to Pereira's 19. But in that first round, on average, Pereira's he's landing 4 head strikes, 7 body strikes, and 8 leg strikes. Whereas Yuri's, again, he's landed 24, so 6 times as many head strikes, only 4 body strikes in the first round, and no leg strikes. So really that kind of, Pereira really has that kind of range of targets. But I think that also is demonstrated in that the Blachowicz fight as well. In that Blachowicz fight, whereas, obviously it was close, it was a split decision, but it's really where it was targeted to. So if we actually break that down, you can see here as well, Pereira landed 26 head strikes, 23 body strikes, and 21 leg strikes, and Blachowicz landed 41 head strikes. So you can understand why there's why everybody kind of said that, well, not everybody, but you can understand why there's a significant number of people that are saying that Blachowicz actually won that fight. He landed 41 head strikes to Pereira's 26, but really that whole range of head, body, leg was owned by Pereira instead.
Right. The odds are saying that Jiri is plus 125 and that Pereira is minus 150. So it's pretty close, as like the odds say. I definitely kind of like lean that way. And both these guys, it's funny, because Jiri came, but fair enough, Jiri has like a big background, right? So he beat CB Dollaway at Ryzen 20, and then he beat Volkan Ozdemir by KO. He beat Dominic Reyes by spinning back elbow KO, and then he beats Glover by submission rear naked choke to take the light heavyweight title. So 2 fights into the UFC, he's fighting for the world title, but he'd been 30 fights into MMA. So that's a very understandable one. But I'm just looking here at Alex's resume, and it just makes me laugh. Like, people go, think, look at how this has aged. So he beat Andres Michailidis. It's fair enough. That was his first fight in the UFC. He won that. He won it in style, right? Let's not kid yourselves. He won it in style. Then he fought Bruno Silva, and he won that clear. Bruno's never been the same. He bashed Bruno. He really, really bashed him in that fight. And then he knocks out the current champion. This is the current champion, Sean Strickland. People are like, yeah, Sean Strickland. He's the current champion, dude. He's got a knockout over him. Then he's got a TKO knockout win over Israel Adesanya, right? And then he lost to Israel Adesanya KO. No shame in that. But then he's got a win over Jan Blachowicz, a former light heavyweight champion. That's like, he's fought 3 champions. Like that's so impressive, man. Like that's such an impressive resume to have in the UFC, like in such a short career frame. Like it's really, really, really an impressive resume and such a good, like not many people would even be able to get up to do that like that. No, it's very, very, very crazy that he did that. SG says, greetings, Fab. SG says, Pereira has one of the most terrifying highlights reel of all time. 100%. 1 billion percent. What do you think of the odds, Sammy, with what I just said?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I would actually favor Pereira in this as well. Just in terms of having that all-round, just from a pure statistical standpoint, having that all-round head, body, leg, and obviously increased accuracy as well. But obviously it is also very hard because the stats we're looking at is just in the UFC, and we're comparing, 6 fights that Pereira's had in his UFC career compared to Yuri's 3. And obviously they've got such a long background for both of them in other organizations as well. So it is kind of hard to match up the stats, but I do favor Pereira just looking at those.
And it is also, but it's also telling because again, like the guys that he fought, that Jiri fought, are no joke either. Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, and Glover Teixeira are not, they're not jokes. And they especially weren't jokes at that point in their careers. Kenny says, I heard Alex was out for a good 4 minutes. It was bad. Man, it was probably closer to 5 minutes. He was out real bad, dude. Really, really bad. Cooper Marion said, and that's the thing, man. When you're fighting those big dudes like that like they hit so hard, dude, people have no idea. Going back to what I was saying before about the Thomas Aspinall and Pavlovic fight, the reason I pick Aspinall is because Aspinall's just a little bit quicker. He's quicker. And at heavyweight, especially at heavyweight, it's not just who hits harder because they're all going to hit hard. They're giant men. If you're fast and you can land your shots on someone, you're going to really hurt them. Cooper Marion says, I feel like the fact that Jiri relies on his durability so much is going to get him in trouble with how often Alex will go to the body and legs. Also, Alex's ability to counter the left hook is death. I do think there is an element of truth to that, Cooper Marion. I do think that you can't play that game with Alex, where you're probably going to eat some shots, like kind of like how Bruno Silva does and did. You can't, because even if he doesn't knock you out, he does hurt, man. He does hurt you, and I do think he's going to chop away at that lead leg of Jiri's a lot. And so that's going to take away from a lot of the movement. And then if you don't have movement against Pereira, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. SG says, the guru also mentioned that Alex is a freak of nature. He survived getting choked by Jan at altitude after a KO loss and still managed to put the pressure on in the 3rd round. Shout out to the MMA guru. He's a champion. I love what he's done with his channel. And for sure, Alex is a freak of nature. This is undoubtedly so, all the stuff that he's done, the things that he's survived, alcoholism through his youth, all of that. He's a freak of nature, undoubtedly. This is no joke. SG says it would be nice if Alex was defensively more aware. He is aware, man. It's just like he's fighting at a top end, It's not like, you also got to understand, like when you do certain things, when you fight a certain way, there's going to be openings in this way, you know what I mean? So he fights pressuring you. He wants you to throw a shot so he can counter. So that's going to leave openings. If he fights too defensively, you're not going to come out of your shell to strike and for him to counter. So you have to, it's not that he's not defensively aware, it's he has to play to his strengths, and he wants you to open up so he can left hook you. He wants to hurt you and pressure you so that you come forward. If he moved like how Israel moves, then he wouldn't be able to necessarily counter in the same way that he does. And it's not that he's not aware. You have to go through what you're going through. Cooper Marion says, Alex may hit you so hard you think you're playing golf. That's true. That is true. SG says, if you're walking through the Amazon and you hear Alex's battle cry, you better run. Oh, you'll run. Kenny says, Jiri is the most USADA tested, laugh out loud. He was tested like 20-something times in 1 month. SG, Vahetop's got a chin of steel. Yes, he does. Pepguard says, how would Jamal Hill match up versus the winner of Jiri and Alex? Again, I don't know. I don't know how long he's been out for. We'd have to do a breakdown on that. I tend to favor Alex still, over both of them, but I'd have to do the whole breakdown on that. Kenny said, he said they draw blood with a needle too in Czech, where in the US they just prick your thumb. Well, that's not pleasant. Kenny said, another note is that Alex doesn't use elbows and knees like Jiri. They're just a different style, but they don't. Alex uses his knees though, dude. You have to watch the knockout reel, man, where he fucking knees people into Bolivian. Harry DeLuca, the People's Champ, says, if Pereira wins the title, does that make him the best combat athlete of all time over Henry Cejudo? I think it probably. I always favor the little guys because the little guys, there's more people that are smaller than there are people that are bigger. So I favor the little guys in that sense, and I think also the lighter you go, the better the fighters are. So, and I also understand to win a gold medal at the Olympics, man. If you've been involved in elite level sport, to win a gold medal at the Olympics, it's ridiculous. What you have to go through to win a gold medal is insane. And then, like, the talent pool is huge, and we're not talking about like, I don't know, curling or something like this. We're talking about wrestling, which it's a sport that's quite widely practiced. So I would say Cejudo would still be, in my opinion, the best combat athlete of all time. Win a gold medal and then win the flyweight and the bantamweight divisions. You know what I mean? It's big. It's big because he won bantamweight as well, So, but if Pereira wins this, he'd be, maybe, you know what? Maybe he would be, because he won the kickboxing title in 2 weight divisions, and then if he wins the UFC title in 2 weight divisions, that'd probably put him over Cejudo, I'd say, or like right there, because the Olympic gold medal, man, and then 2 weight divisions in the UFC, like, I'll put the Olympic gold medal in wrestling above the glory title. I think it'd be harder to do, in particular in wrestling or judo or something like that. But probably Alex, man. Harry, probably Alex. It's a tough one, man. I have a lot of respect for Olympic gold medal. I've worked in elite level sport for 20 years, and I understand like what you would have to do to win an Olympic gold medal. It's especially in those types of sports, it's not easy, and it's like a level of talent that's most people can't comprehend. Kenny says, if DDP beats Strickland and Alex beats Jiri, could you see UFC giving Izzy a chance to fight both when he returns? To fight them both at the same time? That wouldn't be nice. What kind of prize would that be? I think that they would make the fight with DDP because that's the one that's got the buzz behind it, right? Like, and I think that it's the best chance of Israel winning, because I do think it's going to be a harder fight for Israel at light heavyweight versus Alex at this point in their careers, in their respective careers. And Israel would have to go up to light heavyweight. I don't know. I think they'd make DDP and Israel. That'd be the fight to make. And I don't know if he beats DDP. And I don't know what happens between DDP and Strickland. That's not going to be an easy fight for anyone. And I don't think it's going to be easy for Alex either against Jiri. Semi, do you have anything you want to add?
No, not really. We've kind of been through all of them. So,
all right. So I'll answer some of these questions here. If you have to go, Semi, then all good, man. We understand. You have to go solve the banking crisis of this planet. For those that don't know, Semi's a mathematician and a banker, and probably responsible for your high interest rates, people. So if you want to track Semi down and have a a serious talk to him, please do so. Um, Sam Talhi says, evening Fab won an epic fight regardless of result. Yes, absolutely. SG says, elbows are not allowed in kickboxing, not in K1 rules. No, you don't elbow. But it's Alex knows how to use elbows in a clinch. Like, it's just the way that the fights have planned out. It's not that he doesn't know how to use them. He's also fought Muay Thai. He's also trains, in MMA. Russ the Beast says, how does Alex match up against Jiri in the clinch? I would favor Alex in the clinch. Just the way that he is, man. Just how long he is, and he's very, very strong as well. Like Jiri's just as big and as strong. Both 6'4", but just the amount of the body of work that Alex has had in kickboxing, whilst it's not necessarily the Thai rules and the clinch is still limited in under those rules, it's not. I would just favor Alex in the clinch, man. I would just favor his use of knees in the clinch, his use of just body shots in general in the clinch. I would favor him.
Alex also lands nearly 4 times as many clinch strikes compared to Yuri as well.
Okay, so that's I didn't know you were still here. That's why I'm glad you're still here. I was gonna ask you, so he lands more strikes in the clinch than Jiri?
Yeah, almost 4 times as many on average per round.
Yeah, so I definitely favor him in the clinch for sure. And he also has, like, not that it's the thing he's going to go to, but he also has a threat of takedowns. I do think that you'll probably see a level change from Alex at some point, and Jiri might do that as well. But I do think he's got those things as well. Like, he did that with Israel. It's it's interesting. Kenny A says, I think they were prohibited in glory. Yeah, K1 rules, you don't elbow. Sam Tahi says, Izzy's head has gone. Main character syndrome has broken when in public. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speculate as to him. If he's going through stuff with mental health, though, my heart does go out to him. Kenny says, Jiri has been sitting in a dark room alone for a year. He is a bit of a character, that Jiri. I don't know. Sammy, before we go, tell me, gun to your head, who you pick and why?
For this, I'm picking Pereira, as mentioned before. Just the overall, head, body, leg composition of his strikes, and in terms of significant strikes, they're still landing very similar. And also, but because of that, I favor Pereira. And then also in terms of accuracy, Pereira has a higher accuracy across almost all aspects of his striking.
I think I go with Pereira as well. I think that should the fight play out in any, it goes into a war or anything like that, I think Pereira wins it. I think Pereira can catch him as well. I do think that Jiri has a legitimate chance of catching Pereira, in particular early. But I don't think that that's like as high as a possibility or probability as Pereira catching him. I do think that the Pereira is just better with his shots, has a broader vocabulary of strikes, whereas Jiri is unorthodox in his striking, and I believe that. There's also another thing, a big X factor is Glover went 5 rounds with Jiri, and if I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember now from memory, I don't know if Alex was in the corner even. He might have been in the corner. But if he wasn't in the corner, he also has that feedback. Turbo Bong says, this channel is underrated. I have learned a lot. Oh, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Guys, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. The thing I was going to say, what was it? I was just saying something a second ago. Yeah, and he has that X factor. There is an X factor in that his training partner / coach just recently fought Jiri, fought him reasonably recently, went 5 rounds. So has a really good understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of Jiri firsthand, which none of us do. And he also, if if he wasn't in the corner, he would have still been involved to some degree in that fight camp, and he would have, he definitely, Glover would definitely be involved in the fight camp now. And so there's a lot of feedback that you'd be able to get. That's why I do believe you're going to see some level changes from Alex in this fight. It's going to give a different wrinkle. It's going to give a different thing for Jiri to watch out for. And I think that Alex has already shown that he's comfortable doing that. He did that with Israel. Russ the Beast says, do you think Jiri's ground game is good enough to be a threat in this fight? I think, like I said earlier in the podcast, in the stream, both of them can do this if they change levels. Both of them can add a new wrinkle to the fight by changing levels and getting the takedown. Do I think that, all things being equal, that Jiri's going to take Alex down and just fucking have his way with him on the ground, like, he's like his Buchecha or something like this? No, not necessarily. But you don't need to do that. Man, there's two different things here. If Jiri gets on top and starts to land bombs, because Jiri does, the difference here is, a lot of people, when they take Pereira down, they're trying to hold him down. People don't understand this. They're trying to hold him down. You saw, we did the breakdown earlier. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it, please. You see, Blachowicz was holding him down. He landed, I think, 5 significant strikes in the first round, and then 1 in each, according to the stats. 1 in each in the subsequent rounds. Is that correct, Sammy, from memory? So, in Sammy.
Yes. Yeah. He landed 3 takedowns, so 1 each round.
No. What I asked was, did he land 5 significant strikes on the ground in the first, and then 1 in each round after that?
Yes.
Yeah, so most of the people are holding him down. If Jiri gets at that position, I believe that Jiri's not going to hold Alex down. He's going to try and bomb him. That could be the problem for Alex. So definitely, for sure. And I think either one of these guys, if they put the new wrinkle in the fight where they're going to change your level and start to try to take you down, they're going to be a very legitimate threat to anyone. And I think that either one of these guys could do that for sure. Russ the Beast says, also training with Glover as much as he does, do you think Alex could showcase some BJJ? Well, that's what I just said then. I think either one of these guys think. Kenny says, Jiri re-naked Glover though. I think that you have to watch a fight though, dude. Like that fight, it wasn't like just because that's what's happened. There's no way that Jiri's jiu-jitsu is better than Glover's. It wouldn't even be close. But a fight's different, dude. Like Glover got beaten up that fight. Whilst he beat Jiri up too, but he got beaten up as well. And so by the time that rear naked choke, he got caught in the thing. But if you look at positional advantages in that fight, due to jiu-jitsu, they weren't by Jiri. They were definitely by Glover. Glover initiated more of the takedowns. Glover initiated the positions. It was Glover, jiu-jitsu wise in that fight. And then ironically, he got choked. So yeah, I think that whoever, it's going to be advantageous to whichever one of these guys starts to add the wrinkle of the grappling into their fights. Turbo Bong says, Alex has been in a lot of wars in kickboxing and MMA. Do you think he's maybe past his prime? His chin might be gone. It could be gone, but I will say this to you, man. I do think Alex is a little bit past his prime, but he doesn't have to be in his prime to apply the kickboxing in the way that he needs to for MMA. He's still light years ahead in that regard. That doesn't mean he won't be caught. And it doesn't mean that it's not easy fights, but I'm saying if he fights kickboxing specifically, he's not fighting Vakitov. He's not fighting these top-end guys in kickboxing, and he's able to fight his style. He's not fighting Kashenko. He's not fighting Belgaru. He's not fighting these guys under those rules. He's fighting guys in a different set of rules, and he's able to apply that. If you put the Cormier that won his last heavyweight title, right, against Mircic, if you put him, that same Cormier, if you put him in the Olympics at wrestling, he wouldn't even win the US title. He wouldn't even be at the Olympics. But but his wrestling for MMA at that age, it's still way ahead of most people, and that's a very big point. He's yeah. So I do think he's a little bit past his prime, but I think he's more than good enough to continue here at least for another year or so in MMA, and he might continue longer. I don't know. I don't fucking know, but yeah, I do think he's lost a little bit of a step, but that doesn't mean that he can't apply it. He's been knocked out a lot of times as well, Turbo Bong, but that's also like he lives by the sword and dies by the sword. That's his style of fighting. If you don't get Alex out of there, it's not going to be a fun night for you. Even if you win, you're going to wear some big shots of a very heavy hitter. Guys, thank you so much for everything. Sammy, thank you, because Sammy does this in his lunch break, man. The rest of the time he's stealing pensioners' hedge funds and that, so good for him. And putting money in the Cayman Islands and in Swiss bank accounts for himself. So he took time out of that strong embezzlement thing that he's got going and did this for us for free. So guys, thank you so much. Sammy, you're a champion. Really appreciate it, guys. My apologies about the Aspinall and Pavlovic one. We had some technical problems, but yes, thank you so much, guys. Very, very much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And guys, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.